Boom shakalaka, Bitcoin is at a critical fork in the road. Today we're going to discuss exactly where it is, plus what's going to cause the second and final phase of this bull market and what's going to cause the eventual crash. Stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, we're talking about how Bitcoin is at a critical fork in the road. The next few days are going to spell out whether Bitcoin is going down to $20,000 or whether we are breaking out in the bullish direction that everyone is thinking about. Before we get into that, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, come join us over on Twitter at the Crypto Love, where every week we give away one of these sweet shirts, whether the market goes up, down, sideways, or whatever direction it wants to go. Now, what is going on with Bitcoin? Well, guys, if we zoom out just a wee little bit, we can see that Bitcoin is in the middle of two very interesting patterns. The first pattern, the solid white line. We are in a little wedge right here. And we can zoom in again so you can see it a bit more. Wedge. We have lower highs and we have higher lows completing this wedge, the breakout of which will occur by the beginning of July, right around 4th of July weekend. We'll either have Bitcoin going up or Bitcoin going down. But the more dramatic pattern on there is actually set to potentially break out in the next few days. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow, because Sundays oftentimes are pretty bad for Bitcoin. You can see the dotted lines here is a very strong downward pattern for Bitcoin. And guess what? As soon as we hit it, I call this, we've been butting up against it and the price has just been coming down. Now, potentially, we may go down to the bottom of this wedge again, right around $32,000. But even more potentially, we could even break below there and hit all the way to $20,000. Why? Well, potentially because everybody thinks that the price is going to go up. Everybody is insanely bullish. This very much reminds me of 2017. Now, it could be just some PTSD going on. I will admit that. I could have PTSD. I mean, I hear stories of people who survived the Depression. They now, or not now because they're probably dead now, but they would drink milk and they would take like a sip and then dilute the rest of it with water, just because in depression, once you go through that stuff, I've been through a bear market, the whole entire bear market, and it hurt. And so now it's hard to be very optimistic, whereas everybody's just like, Dogecoin, the next Dogecoin, Jeju Shiba is going to do the freaking moon. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not. But it might be. I would love to be proved wrong, because honestly, I have to look at this in a way that, you know, I would love for the price to go up. I think everybody would, but I also have to look at it somewhat realistically with what's been going on. This went up very quickly. A lot of weak hands entered the market, and potentially a lot of weak hands will continue to leave, particularly if there's some more regulatory bad news going on. Now, I know El Salvador is making Bitcoin legal tender, but come on, it's El Salvador. Like, hello, did you even know where that country was before this happened? I don't think so. They're not one of the world superpowers at the moment. Things could change. And furthermore, not only that, guys, but there's some other things we have to take a look at. So one thing that's worrying about Bitcoin is the exchange net flows. There are many Bitcoins flowing into exchanges lately, but the trading volume is still relatively low. Bitcoin needs more trading volume to digest increasing trading flows. We can see the exchange net flow increases with a lack of trading volume here, whereas the exchange net flow decreases with enough trading volume, which is what caused the spike. So there's nothing really, I mean, I'm looking at this technically, okay? Technical analysis, we have a giant head and shoulders forming here. That's bearish. We have this trend line. That's bearish. We have this wedge, which is potentially bullish, potentially bearish, but that's two bearish versus one 50-50. So that's pushing towards bearish. We have this pushing towards bearish. Not only that, I made this video here back in November of 2019, and based on everything there, I predicted a $60,000 top in 2021. And then I made this video in April of 2020, where I had a $70,000 Bitcoin prophetic dream. Both of those things, maybe it was an average of those, average of 60 and average of 70, and we just ended up with the $65,000 Bitcoin. The only thing is, it just doesn't really add up. I know that past performance is not an indicator of future success, but it just doesn't add up. It doesn't look like Bitcoin's where it's supposed to be. I mean, it fell into this Bermuda Triangle and it's just been like sitting there, and it could potentially sit there all the way until January. Let's hope not. It could just go sideways until then. Hopefully it'll break down and get out, or pass up and go up and get out. But it just doesn't, it's not a blow off top like we had at any of the previous tops. It's more of like a roundish top like we had potentially back here in 2019. Also, if we take a look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart, never even got into sell territory. We got close. We approached. We were at, is this a bubble? We never got to FOMO intensifies. So past performance, potentially not an indicator of future success. But we have to wonder what's going on with Bitcoin. And I think this weekend's going to spell out a lot, because if the price keeps dropping down, we could have another bottom here. We could have a completion of this head and shoulders pattern, which could send Bitcoin even lower. We don't, other than a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of FUD in the markets about Bitcoin right now. And honestly, I don't know which direction it's going to go. There are times when I knew better about which direction it was going to go. Right now, it's 50-50, or I would say even more potentially bearish than bullish. Now, granted, you guys are not going to like this video, obviously, because you want me to say everything Bitcoin is going to the moon. Guys, there's time frames. Okay, short-term time frame, we may be in somewhat of a bearish time frame. Long-term, yes, very bullish. Still very bullish on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Short-term, though, potentially, we might be coming back to previous all-time highs. This would be unprecedented, but it's certainly possible. Now, that being said, I still think that we are potentially going to have a bullish end of the year. It's possible. I mean, every 4 years we have a bullish market. Now, there was just the 49-51% ratio that makes us think it's September, October. Sometimes people think it's towards December because that's historically where it happens. Now, if history holds, yeah, potentially we could see that. It may be over already. I don't really know. But if there is something that could send it up, I think potentially this, which just happened a couple hours ago, the Bitcoin Taproot upgrade finally locked in, activation set for November. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, basically, we will scroll down to right here. It's the first consensus change since SegWit activated in August 2017. And in case you guys don't know what SegWit was, SegWit happened right around here, and that's what really sent Bitcoin to the moon. There was the Bitcoin Bcash hard fork, and then there was SegWit activation, and then after that, Bitcoin really went to the moon in 2017. It extends Bitcoin's script capabilities in many ways that make certain things cheaper, especially more complex applications like multi-sig and layer 2 things, and somewhat more private by often hiding what the exact spending rules were. So we have Taproot activation finally locked in, set for November. Potentially, this could be the thing. It's just not understandable enough for most people to FOMO in and want to buy Bitcoin before this happens. So this could potentially be the thing that will send Bitcoin parabolic. But it won't last for very long, because there's something that's set to crash in the very near future, potentially around December-ish. The Tether Ponzi scheme. Okay? In case you guys don't know, Binance is being investigated about what's going on with them and Tether, the biggest fraud on the scale of Bernie Madoff or Enron. And we're in the middle of a bubble for the history books. So potentially, we could see a big run up towards the end of the year and then a big, huge crash, something unlike we haven't seen in a long time. So I know this is probably going to be one of my least popular videos because it's like not, oh, we're going to the moon, but I just want to be a little bit less optimistic. I don't like realistic because realistic people are just pessimistic, but it's just like trying to look at facts for facts. I'm still very bullish in the long term. In the short term, we might have a wild ride. So if you did enjoy that video, all two of you who actually enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Also come join us over on Twitter and to win one of these shirts, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.